Hey, how are we doing, guys? Great here, and today we are back for week 1 of the P4G. We're going up against our good friend and longtime rival in JRicky and his Gigaton Hammers. Please go check him out. He is one of the most underrated YouTubers in the draft scene. His content is fantastic, honestly so much better than mine. He is a fantastic editor and also a very strong player as well. And his team is terrifying. With that out of the way, we're on our way to 1k. If you would leave a like and subscribe, it would be greatly appreciated. If everybody who watched this battle was to subscribe now, we'd easily hit our goal of 1k. But if you don't want to, fair enough. If you want to skip the team builder, there will be a timestamp down below. You can skip straight to the battle. If you want to see why I'm bringing, what I'm bringing, and make sure to stick around for the team builder, we'll go ahead and get straight into it. Okay, so the matchup should now be up on screen. His team is Hisuian, Goodra, Tornadus Incarnate, Crawdon, Mesprit, Pawmot, Vaporeon, Bramblegast, Typhlosion, Gligar, and his 2 Terra Captains of Muck and Carbink. He has the Terras of Poison Ground and Grass on the Muck, and Fairy Water Fighting on the Carbink. And yeah, man, this team is this team is terrifying to face. It's really difficult to prep for, and especially because we made some trades like halfway through my prep. I kind of botched it a little bit. I just take Luxray out and put Raikou in and kept the rest of the build, and I'm not sure how it's going to work out, but realistically it should be kind of a 1-for-1 sort of thing, because the Luxray set was going to be Choice Scarf and it was going to be able to outspeed the Tornadus, and that was the main thing that it was there for. So Raikou naturally outspeeds Tornadus, and it kind of works out quite nicely that just a 1-for-1, hopefully it will work out for us. But going on to our team, you'll be able to see that on screen now, and yes, there is no Psychic Terrain. Things like Mesprit and potential Psychic Seed, Bulk Up, Tornadus Incarnate really made me not want to bring my Psychic Terrain. He also has Hisuian Goodra, which kind of just tanks everything from my Psychic types in this game. So realistically, it wasn't going to be the best bring. Instead, we went for a bit more of a kind of standard balanced build, with our win con looking towards Hawlucha, which, shocker, I know, who would have thought Hawlucha would be the win con. Outside of that, we have a secondary win con in Florges with the Choice Scarf. We got 2 options that we can go for. We can either trick the Hisuian Goodra that's very likely to come in, or we can try and save it for later in the game, and we'll be able to potentially sweep up with Moonblast, because his Moonblast switch-ins are very limited. Outside of Muck and Hisuian Goodra, there's not a great deal that wants to take it on. Sure, Typhlosion can, a Vaporeon can, but even then they're going to get worn down, and I feel like I switch into those 2 okay with my build. So it wasn't the biggest deal, and I felt like potentially Florges could work as a win con. It also can pivot on the Goodra coming in and bring out one of our 2 fighting types to scare out the Goodra immediately. However, he does have one massive threat in the Mesprit, and yeah, that mon is going to be difficult for us to take on. It's going to be very, very difficult to work out what kind of moveset he's got until it comes in. Could be Nasty Plot. I could also see just like a utility set with U-turn knockoff. Definitely going to have Psychic or Zen Headbutt. Don't think it gets Psychic Fangs, but and then either Stealth Rock, could be T-Wave, which again would cripple my Hawlucha. It would cripple my Terrain Core. So yeah, another thing that we just gotta try and get over. The big obstacle to get past. Crawdon is super scary, especially if he brings Trick Room, but outside of like Crawdon, there's not too much that really benefits from the Trick Room. I guess maybe if he's running like Banded Muck. I don't know. I think it is just kind of Crawdon that hits us really hard in the terrain, especially with this build. Granted, he could bring it because my overall team is very good against, but yeah, I feel like if he does bring Trick Room, we should be able to handle it just fine, as long as we keep the pieces alive that we need. Obviously, that's a very kind of obvious statement. Good job, me. But let's get into our own build. So first up, we have our Torterra. It is just kind of bulky sort of tank with the Archieberry. This is mainly just to be able to switch in on things like the Hisuian Goodra, mainly the Pawmot as well, because my switches to Pawmot, especially with the team that I'm bringing, they don't really exist. So yeah, it kind of felt like I needed that Archieberry just to have that insurance that I'm not going to just fall over to an Ice Punch on the switch. Seed Bomb, Headlong Rush, Stone Edge, and Stealth Rock. For the most part, Headlong Rush is pretty spammable against his team, and the things that are going to switch into the Headlong Rush. Don't appreciate Stone Edge or Seed Bomb. Mesprit, again, probably going to be Fizz Death, but I'm hoping to be able to break that thing early enough, maybe even with Torterra, if I can get some chip damage off, will allow my Hawlucha to go crazy late game. The main goal of this mon is kind of just to set up rocks, be a switch into a couple of his biggest threats, and hopefully be able to get some damage off on things like the Tornadus or the Mesprit on the way in. I guess Bramble-Ghast could be a switch in, Gligar could as well. Gligar we don't really have a whole lot for, but it was one of those mons that I wasn't really thinking was going to come to this game, so hopefully we'd see no Gligar, and there's a good chance that Torterra will be able to do something in this, at least. His hazard removal, by the way, is just Bramble-Ghast, I believe. So that's why we've gone for the rocks. Brock's going to rack up on quite a few members of his team, and we very much appreciate it as early as we possibly can. Next up, we have got our Scrafty with the Assault Vest. I was back and forth on whether I wanted to go Intimidate, but I was so scared of the Tornadus Incarnate getting a Defiant boost, because I'm almost positive that it's going to be Defiant in this game. I have 3 Intimidate mons, and essentially Acrobatics would be incredibly free if it's Psychic Seed, or I guess it could not be Psychic Seed, but this is the set that I was thinking and prepping against, is like Psychic Seed, Defiant, Bulk Up. I straight up just lose to that mon with Acrobatics immediately. I just immediately lose. So yeah, I tried to avoid that, and I went with Shed Skin instead. It'll be able to take potential poisons from things like Gligar if it's got Toxic. If we happen to get frozen by an Ice Beam or something along those lines, burned by Rogue Flamethrower, then we'll be able to deal with that. I think Vaporeon gets Skull back as well, so I've actually not faced a Vaporeon, I don't think, since the DLC dropped, so I'm pretty sure it gets Skulled, and if we get burned, then hey, we got the Shed Skin, we should be fine. This is just like a mixed bulky Scrafty, mainly on the special defensive side, to be able to switch into multiple different mons, and mainly just be able to get knockoffs and Drain Punches off. Close Combat is there for Oko potential, and Ice Punch is realistically just there to be able to hit things like the Gligar. Next up, we have got Creative with our Duraludon set. This week we're running Heavy Slam, Outrage, Swords Dance, and Stone Edge. Did those moves out of order, but who cares? Of course, with the Eviolite, it is a Duraludon. And at this point, you don't see a Duraludon without its Eviolite. And but what you don't normally see is a physical one, especially not one with Swords Dance. But I was looking through this matchup, and I was like, you know what? If it's special, it's good. Don't get me wrong, it is good. If it's Swords Dance, it's even better, because there is very few things on this team that wants to take a +2 Outrage. And the things that do, firstly, Carbink, could tear into a water or a fighting type, and that is it. Essentially, that is it. So outside of that, Outrage, incredibly spammable. It does outspeed a good portion of this team as well. Should be able to take a hit from everything as well. The only things that will Oko it are like Banded Pawmot, Specs Typhlosion, and I think that is it. Like, genuinely, only 2 mons I think can Oko me from full. So Duraludon looks like it should at least be able to claim 1 for 1, maybe we'll be able to get 2, but the main thing is that it's able to just take a mon out if it's a threat. If it's not a threat, then I don't think we Swords Dance. I think we can probably just Outrage off rip and still be fine, but we've got to be careful when we lock ourselves in, because like I say, there is a couple of things that could potentially come in and Oko us, so we just got to be careful. But Duraludon honestly looks nasty in this matchup. Next up, we have got Assault Vest Raikou. The Assault Vest item is honestly just there because I wanted 4 attacks. I could have gone for something else, maybe a weakness policy to proc off of a potential Earthquake from Hisuian Goodra. I did think about running Specs as well, but honestly the Assault Vest I felt was just like extra insurance against the Tornadus, especially if it is just a special variant. It also helps us a little bit against Typhlosion because we'll be able to get some damage off of potential Scald, and also with a Hisuian Goodra that is more specially biased, because that's a bit of a problem for my team. Albeit I still got the Scrafty. I don't think it's going to be special, but at the same time it doesn't hurt to prepare for something even if you don't think it's necessarily the best bring against your team, because they might see it in a different way. But we're running Full Switch, Aura Sphere, Scald, and Extra Sensory, Modest Nature. We're risking it a little bit with the nature, but the only thing that would necessarily outspeed it is going to be a Choice Scarfer or the Tornadus, and the Tornadus we're kind of already in a good spot against because we are Assault Vest and we are super effective, and he might not think that he outspeeds. So we're in a pretty good spot. He also has pretty good switch-ins with Hisuian Gudra, Pawmot, even Bramblegast or Gligar can switch in, Muck as well. So hence why we got the extra sensory for the Muck, for the Pawmot. Scold is there for the Gligar, and an Aura Sphere for the Hisuian Gudra. Also, Full Switch is all we kind of need. I don't think we need Thunderbolt or Discharge in this match because we should be looking to not really spam an electric move all game. We're looking more to pivot or be able to click a coverage move. So that's going to be Raikou in this matchup. Next up, we have got our Wincon Hawlucha with the White Herb Close Combat, Brave Bird, U-Turn, Swords Dance. A little bit of an unorthodox set to an extent, just because I have U-Turn, but I felt like I might be able to bait out the Mesprit earlier in the game and be able to U-Turn. It also means that I can scout for any potential other switch-ins that he wants to go for, be it like Carbink, maybe a Gligar if we see it. It just kind of scouts out what he wants to go into, it will scout out an item, and then I can play accordingly, and hopefully at some point later in the game I can position myself to set up a Swords Dance, click Close Combat, and just be able to start claiming some lives. The only issue that we might potentially face is if we aren't able to ever get things weakened down enough for us to be able to click a Swords Dance, or if we're not able to get the Swords Dance off before the Close Combat, because we do kind of just need to, you know, kill Tornadus, for example, before we can do this. Also, there's a chance that Crawdon is able to revenge kill with an Aqua Jet. And lastly, we've got to be very careful on what we set up on, because there's a few mons that could cause us some issues, and if Ricky really wants to play it kind of risky, then he can always stay in with his Hisuian Gudra, click Dragon Tail. He may also be Choppleberry, which is another reason I want to run U-Turn, just to see if he does want to switch out on my Hawlucha. If he switches out, there's a stronger chance that he's not going to be the Choppleberry of like an Ice Beam to try and knock us out, or Draco Meteor. And yeah, we can then start looking at being able to set up on the Hisuian Gudra once we scouted some of its moveset, or whether or not he wants to switch. And hopefully Hawlucha is able to come through in this game. If it doesn't, then we still have the Florges, like I mentioned earlier, Choice Scarf with the Trick. We've also got Moonblast, Energy Ball, and Baton Pass. I went back and forth on Baton Pass or Carmine. I decided that Carmine was a little bit too much of a niche situation, and I do believe that he's going to be physical Gudra for the most part. So Heavy Slam is very likely. If he's not fully physical, I think there's going to be a good chance he just runs Heavy Slam, Earthquake with a minus speed nature with Draco Meteor, and then maybe Dragon Tail as the last move, possibly Ice Beam as well. But this is actually really good. Fairy is super strong against a lot of his team, albeit Gudra is super thick on the special side. It isn't actually a resist to Moonblast, and his only actual resists are Muck, that I don't really see coming into a Psychic Terrain team, especially with his Terrors not actually helping in any way. And Typhlosion, sorry. Typhlosion is the other mon that is able to resist it. And hopefully we don't see Typhlosion, and if we do, it won't be like Choice Scarf Eruption and outspeed us. Hopefully we'll be able to get a Moonblast off and just whittle away at it, because it still does like a good 20%, which is not amazing damage, but if we're able to get that chip plus rocks, we're starting to look pretty decent for an endgame. But yeah, that's going to be the team. Risking it a little bit by not bringing a Psychic Terrain week 1, but I didn't feel it had the matchup here. I'm not sure moving forward how often I'm going to bring it. Hopefully a bit more than, week 1, because I haven't brought it. Obvious statement is obvious. Good job, Jack. And yeah, we'll have a look. We'll see what Ricky brings. I think the Gudra is a definite. I think the Torn is a definite. The Mesprit is a definite. I do think he brings Carbink, just because it's actually decent against my team. Like, it's very annoying for me to deal with, and it gives him hazards. I could see then Pawmot, I think, has a very strong matchup. I think Typhlosion has a pretty strong matchup. Muck, Gligar, and in my opinion Bramblegast doesn't have an amazing matchup. I think Vaporeon lost out a lot from me trading away Suicune for Raikou. Who'd have thought? So yeah, Crawdon is also a definite possibility, because man, that knockoff is going to hurt for me to switch into. that's going to wrap it up for the team builder. We're going to go ahead, get into the battle, link up with Ricky, and I'll see you guys there. Okay, so he does bring the Carbink. I'm kind of surprised to see Typhlosion. I'm surprised to see Crawdaunt, actually. I didn't think Crawdaunt had a particularly good matchup, especially against my Psychic terrain, but I guess it does make sense. I do have like 3 Psychic types on my draft, so yeah, I guess in actuality it does make a lot of sense, but we will work our way around that as we can. His tier 1 is here in Goodra. We see no ground type, so actually Raikou is incredibly free, especially off lead here. I feel like he can just lead off with it and get some big damage off of pretty much anything on his team. There's nothing that should outspeed it outside of Scarfers. Typhlosion is likely to be Scarf, I think, just to be able to outspeed my potential Armarouge terrain if it's Scarfed. Late game, I think we should be able to chip things down quite well with our Hawlucha, or in range of Hawlucha at the very least, and we can kind of go from there. We can definitely nerf a couple of these mons just by giving it a choice Scarf, so kind of glad that we got the trick choice Scarf on our Florges. Go ahead, lock that in, see what he wants to lead off with, and yeah, we did not have a good showing in the PPL a couple of seasons ago, or last season, when we had like the quote-unquote big guys in. So hopefully this time around we can actually put in a good showing. We just won WPF, and it's gonna be the Carbink lead. Okay, so probably gonna be hazards, maybe a hazard stack on this. I'll see what he wants to tear it into. I can definitely just go out into my Duraludon on basically any kind of set. So yeah, I'm just going to click Volt Switch. No need to like think too much about it. Could have scolded, but that's respectable damage. Very respectable damage. I do think he's going to set up the hazard, so we'll just go into Duraludon. If he body presses, it shouldn't do too much damage because we are still somewhat okay against it. So yeah, there's the spikes. Somewhat to be expected, but it doesn't change our win con of Hawlucha. It's not going to take that chip. Does just mean that we have to play a little bit quicker because we don't want to be taking up too many turns of hazards. I could definitely set up a Swords Dance here, right? Like, there's nothing that really wants to come in and take the hit. This could Terra into a water type, and if that's the case, then we're kind of fine. I think regardless, I am just going to click the Swords Dance here and start trying to break. See what his initial reaction to this mon is, and then go from there. We are incredibly thick, so we should be alright no matter what. This might Terra Water, is this not Terra? Yeah, it's Terra Water, to be able to take a Steel type move, but it means that it would be weaker to Hawlucha endgame, so that's always nice. You're going to see Terra, okay. It's Terra Water, okay. That's fine. Absolutely fine by me. This could be some demon set, but little do they know, we are also a demon set. And this is Terra Watered, Earth Power, okay, that does nothing. This is Terra Water, and we're at +2. Outrage does do a lot of damage, and I think I'm just going to click it. By all means, this could just die. So it wasn't relaxed, I can tell you that much. But it doesn't mean we are now locked in. So he does have an array of mons that you can choose to come into. But not a lot that's going to want to take the Outrage. And there shouldn't be too many mons that were able to one-shot us. Depending on how fast his Typhlosion is probably the switch in hit, if I had to assume. Yeah, if he's choice Scarf, doesn't actually do enough. He would have to be Specs. 62 to 73 with Eruption. And I think we're like 225. I put in 225%. 225, we would be in range, but it's a 37% chance. If he is just Timid Scarf. In comes Dakin. That is a Typhlosion, okay. We don't have a choice, we gotta stay in. And 229 actually, that might give us a better roll against... Yeah, it gives us a better roll against Timid. If it's Specs, it definitely kills. Yeah, okay. So, good chance of this just being Specs. It's either Specs or Modest Scarf. Either way, I'm pretty happy just going to Yeah, I can just go into Scrafty. And this is a very free knockoff. Nothing wants to take the hit. We are Assault Vest, so we should take this pretty well. Well, you know, as well as we probably can, with all things considered. Yeah, there's the specs. I guess I could have gone into Raikou there instead, actually. That might have been a better play. But we could also position this game to have an endgame with our Florges just spamming Moonblast. Like, I could also work towards that. We're at 30%. It would have to be Focus Blast to be able to knock me out. I'm just going to Drain Punch. Flamethrower, that shouldn't do enough. Yeah. We do get a crit. It was 2 KOing regardless, but it does mean that we get enough health back to be able to live another Flamethrower. It will be in Blaze range most likely, so it will knock us out here. How much is my floor just taking from Blaze range? 41 to 49. It's still actually pretty nice in this match. So I think I will actually just go out into Florges. We are going to take a hefty chunk, but we will kill this in return. Fire Blast. He has all the fire moves and he crits. That's a little tough, means we have one less switch in, but it's fine. It's fine. We'll just Moonblast this. He knows we're Scarf now, but that should be okay. I think the next time I bring this in, if I do bring it back in, is going to be to try and clean up the game. So I think I do want to get my Hawlucha in soon to be able to get some U-turn chip out on the Mesprit. But nothing now should be able to outspeed unless, of course, it's Scarf. Aqua Jet from Crawdaunt will definitely hurt. I suppose that's probably Flash Fire and not Blaze. Just because I have the Armor Rouge, and that's going to be very scary for him to switch into. Nimrod is... It is you. Okay. So I do want to preserve this, and I think my best switch in is going to be Scrafty. I can see whether or not he is... like what kind of set he is. I think this is actually much more beneficial to keep around than Scrafty is at this point, so I will just switch Scrafty. See whether or not he is a setup variant, or whether he has... whether he's special or physical. Heavy Slams, okay. So it does have the physical move. I kind of assumed it would be Heavy Slam, but that's fine. That's fine by me. I will just go into you. There's no Pawmot. Okay, so yeah, this is kind of what Pawmot was for. Or this was here for Pawmot. Headlong Rush seems very obvious. He could go into his Tornadus on this. I would quite like to get the Stealth Rock up, just to chip away at things. I think I'll Stone Edge once. I'll Stone Edge once, hoping he switches in... Well, I don't hope he switches in Torn, but if Torn comes in, it will do a good chunk. If he just decides to stay in here, then he got me. He could Ice Beam me. He does just stay in. Okay, that's tough. You Dragondales. Gotcha. Well, worse things have happened. Unless Floor just comes in, and then that would really suck. Hawlucha, I will take that. I will certainly take Hawlucha. I will just, click U-turn. I don't think I need to do anything else at this point. Mesprit is almost definitely coming in. Unless this is Chople, and if he stays in, then I've got a good feeling that he'll be Choppleberry. Yeah, there's a switch. I assume Mesprit is always going to be his play here. Vision, that sounds like a Mesprit. Oh no, it's not. It is in fact a Torn. So either way, I'm fine with this. I'm very much fine with this, because I can now get Raikou in. I think I've got to just keep pivoting to an extent. Like, I can't really do much to this. Anyway. He is lefties. Okay, so getting rocks up will be very nice. I assume this is going to be bulk up. And if that's the case, he might be specially defensive enough to be able to take a hit here, but I think regardless, my play is just always to Volt Switch. Yeah, there's a switch. And I'll go back into Torterra, and this time I will just set up... the rocks. Because I want that damage on Torn. Like, by all means, he might just go out into Torn here. That would be problematic. I just need some chip damage on Mesprit, mostly. I guess also the chip damage would be nice on Tornadus, and Crawdon would just die. But it's whether or not I can stay out of range of Crawdon. But I'm pretty sure like rocks will go a long way in this game. He is going to switch this time. Probably back into the Torn. Into Pixie, okay. Something with mid-ground for him, I guess, but we'll definitely take that. We need damage on this. No, I don't need to. Because of the chip prior, I shouldn't need to do that, so I'm just going to click Seed Bomb. I think that Torterra, to an extent, has done what it needed to do in this game. I think the rest of my pieces now are just going to have to try and win out. It goes for a Psychic. That's going to hurt. But we'll get some good damage off in return. Fizz Death with, yeah. Somewhat to be expected. Do I need Torterra really for anything now? It does help break the Goodra. But I think at this point I've just got to accept that I'm going to have to play with my offensive pieces. And, yeah, let Torterra go down. Now, because we've seen your special, I do really want to go into Raikou here. That's the only mon I realistically have now to go into this mon, so... and I think, do I want to Scold? Because I kind of want to stay in. No, I'm just going to Volt. He's going to draw, okay. So, in you come. If Torm gets to +1, Brave Bird will never kill. See, I think he just Dragon Tails here. But if that's the case, do I just take my damage on Torn after? I think I got to CC. Like, I know that he's got his options here. In comes Vision. So it's going to take Rocks. And it's going to take the CC. That did... It looks like it did enough. Now, he's got to go for the flying move here, right? I think I just U-turn. Regardless. So we'll do a little bit of chip. That'll like crit. Yeah. We'll do a little bit of chip and we'll go into Raikou. If he bulks up, we force it out. So it's going to be a tough endgame because Crawdon's still just vibing in the back. And if we take too much damage on this, we also will struggle with it. But I assume he probably won't. Yeah. When this comes back in, it doesn't take a hit well enough. So I think I just continue just bolting and switching, just switching around. This is all I can really do here. Is just keep switching. Like, this looks like it's Assault Vest. So I don't believe this will ever take a close combat. We're now in a position where I don't think the Tornadus can take close combat particularly well. Lucha is still my win con. So I need to use Florges now just to get some damage. And I want to say that after Rocks, there's a definite chance that the Torn will die to a CC. And like, Mesprit's got to take Rocks. It didn't outspeed our Raikou, so we know it's not Scarfed. He's gonna switch. I assume it's gonna be Mesprit this time. Okay, it's not. Does this do enough after Rocks? If it doesn't, then it could be problematic. It does enough. Cool. We've seen lefties, so we just U-turn. We go on to Guess it's got to be Raikou, right? That's some pretty good damage. I'll take that damage for sure. We go into Raikou. Take the spikes, we take whatever. Possibly a U-turn. Because he knows I won't want to stay in here. But no, he Psychics. Which we're going to take. Now I can't Volt, so I'm going to just click Scold. Wishing I had Shadow Ball right now, but it is what it is. Realistically, we just need to get this in range. That's respectable damage. Can we get a burn? No burn. Trick Room. I see. Oh, well, that's problematic. I've got to let this go down here, but there's a chance the Mesprit just wins by itself. Because it should knock out Florges, right? Trick Room is a really, really good bring. Kind of wishing I didn't sack so much health off on my team. Oh yeah, 35. There is no shot we're living this. No shot at all. Maybe I should have got into Hawlucha and just hope for the best. Oh well, it's done now. Because I don't think there's any world in which Hawlucha will live this. Yeah, it doesn't live this. So I think we are going to lose this game. Was it 3-0 in the end? The Trick Room was huge. Really, really nice bring. Is this the last turn of Trick Room? Nah, he's got 2 turns. So even if I was to knock this out, I don't think there's any world of me being able to do anything else on his team. So, wow, we're actually going to live. But we're going to go down to Brave Bird. So yeah, you know what? Going out on my own terms, we'll take that. Good game to JRicky. He's able to pick up the win there. Typhlosion just did too much damage to my team. I shouldn't have sacked so much health on Scrafty, because in that endgame Scrafty would have been huge. But it is what it is. At the end of the day, he brought some really good prep. Gonna lose 3-0 week 1, but we'll come back stronger. We always do. Week 1s are never our thing. So yeah, next week we might bring the Psychic Train and we might have better luck. Who knows? Until the next one, make sure to go check out JRicky. Like, subscribe, all that shit. We're trying to hit 1k by the end of the season, hopefully. So if you enjoyed the content, please do think about liking and subscribing. Just said that. Until the next one, have a great day, guys. Peace.